So it's springtime, and in the South that means it's fair season. Now when I think of the fair, I don't just think about the thrill of the rides or the fun attractions or even the delicious foods, funnel cake being my favorite. It also makes me think about carnival-themed horror, which has long been a staple of the genre. So here I'm going to talk about several of the best films in that genre that falls under the category carnival horror. Who doesn't love the carnival? I know I get excited every time it comes to town. Everything from the sights to the sounds appeals to the kid in me. And if I'm not jumping in line to get on one of the many rides, you could probably find me stuffing my face with fair food like funnel cakes, or dropping some money to try my luck at one of the many rigged games, where I've taken home several giant stuffed animals and, well, too many goldfish to count. But the horror fan in me constantly reminds me that the fair isn't all fun and games. There's a darker side to the entertainment presented by these carnivals, and filmmakers have utilized these pop-up amusement centers as the setting or centerpiece sequence for some of the coolest, scariest, and goriest horror films out there. And just like the thrills you get when riding on one of these quickly put together rides at the fair, Carnival Said Horror can get your adrenaline pumping while providing some heart-skipping scares. So here's a rundown of a handful of my favorites from this subgenre. I'm a really big fan of director Tobe Hooper's 1981 fright flick, The Funhouse, which follows 4 teenagers who become trapped in a dark ride at a local carnival and are then stalked by a hideously deformed killer inside. Hooper and screenwriter Lawrence Block cleverly combine elements of both slasher films and monster movies with The Funhouse, making this one a definite must-see for fans of carnival-themed horror. With some great special effects, plenty of atmosphere, and a handful of genuinely scary moments, The Funhouse is a gem worth seeking out if you've never seen it. Now to a film that is most certainly a classic and has inspired many films over the past 6 decades. I'm talking about Carnival of Souls from director Herc Harvey. And this is a film that just oozes atmosphere. A very strange and surrealistic tale that follows a young woman who finds herself drawn to the pavilion of an abandoned carnival. Now, while obviously a low-budget film, it permeates a sense of dread throughout, delivering some chilling visuals, aided by a creepy and effective organ score. It plays out like an extended episode of The Twilight Zone, and yet Carnival of Souls feels like a very unsettling nightmare that has stood the test of time. And no carnival-themed horror list would be complete without sending in the clowns. Killer clowns, that is. I'm talking about the cult classic Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a completely absurd but oh so fun comedy horror hybrid about evil extraterrestrials who resemble clowns that arrive on our planet and invade a small town in order to capture, kill, and harvest the human inhabitants to use as sustenance. Filled with plenty of sight gags and some pretty clever special effects, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of the zaniest, kookiest cult films you'll ever see. Based on Ray Bradbury's fantastic novel, Something Wicked This Way Comes was one of those films that kids of the 80s grew up both enthralled and terrified by. When a carnival led by the mysterious Mr. Dark comes to a small Midwestern town, strange things begin happening to the residents, and it appears that Mr. Dark, who is played by the incredible Jonathan Pryce, wields the power to grant the wishes of the town's citizens, but with dark consequences. After viewing this one, you'll never look at a carousel the same way. It may be a Walt Disney production, but that doesn't mean it's not unsettling. And now let's take it back to 1932. Are you of the opinion that old films can't shock you? Then you should check out Freaks. It is a masterpiece that features some of the most disturbing images ever captured on celluloid. Directed by Todd Browning, who's probably best known for filming the Universal classic Dracula in 1931, Freaks tells of a conniving trapeze artist who joins a group of carnival sideshow performers with a plan to seduce and murder one of the titular freaks to gain his inheritance. But her plot proves to have some dangerous consequences as the carnival's other performers discover what she's up to, and they band together to carry out a brutal revenge. Freaks is powerful, it is bizarre, it's unsettling, and it is absolutely unforgettable. One of the After Dark Horror Fest's 8 films to die for, Craig Singer's Dark Ride is a 2006 slasher film that delivers some adequate scares in a very creepy setting. In this film, 5 friends and a hitchhiker they picked up stop off at an amusement park attraction named Dark Ride, unaware that a psychopath who brutally murdered 2 girls a decade earlier has just escaped a mental institution and is seeking refuge there. This being a slasher, there are some pretty gnarly kills to enjoy here, but what makes this one really stand out is the setting. It's worth a watch. While not exactly carnival horror through and through, James Wong's Final Destination 3 gets a spot on this list for featuring one of the craziest and downright disturbing amusement park sequences in film history. If you love roller coasters, you might want to skip seeing the premonition scene in this one, because the Devil's Flight coaster scene is pretty brutal and will certainly have you double and triple checking the tracks and seatbelts the next time you hop on one of these rides. While some may complain that the Final Destination movies are a bit formulaic, there's still a lot of fun to be had with them, and Part 3 is no exception as it delivers some disturbing and creative kill scenes. And finally, 2018's Hellfest is exactly the kind of traveling carnival horror fans would love to attend, just as long as we're guaranteed to come back out in one piece. Unfortunately for the characters in this film, no such guarantee exists. Hellfest follows a group of teens who are stalked by a serial killer known as the Other while visiting the titular carnival, which features a labyrinth of rides, games, and mazes. When the Other turns the theme park into his personal playground, you can expect a gory good time, even if it is rather paint by numbers in the plot department. Still, I'd enjoy checking out a sequel to this one. It's one carnival I'd be happy to revisit.
So what's your favorite carnival-themed horror film? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more from the Southern Fried Horror Show.
Okay, I thought I was done, but just as I was about to render this video, I remembered one more gem. And that gem is George A. Romero's The Amusement Park, which began life as an industrial film, or rather, an educational film about elder abuse and ageism that was commissioned by the Lutheran Service Society of Western Pennsylvania. But in Romero's hands, it became a chilling and at times quite unnerving piece of horror with a profound statement that follows an elderly man who goes for what he assumes will be an ordinary day at the amusement park, only to find himself in the middle of a hellish nightmare instead. Allegorical, stylistic, strangely hypnotic, surrealistic, The Amusement Park is a must-see for fans of Romero and for fans of carnival-themed horror.